Last time we left off on we got to the locker where we stored the icon in the locker, equipped script under the equipped script, which is equipped locker. Now we know that this icon is equipped the all the time, unless we change it to something else like this, and then if we restart the game again, the icon will be inside the locker saved for us. Alright, if you did skip that video, make sure you go back and check out that video on how all that is done. But in this video, we're going to be talking about instantiating player and possibly even adding objects onto the player and spawning those objects with the player. Alright, so we have a player, right? We need a method to be able to spawn this player exactly where it is right now. When we look at the when you hit the player is right in front of the camera, but we can control this player. So we're gonna look at the way how we can spawn the player and deactivate its third-person controller as well. All right. So how we're gonna do that is pretty simple. We're gonna bring in the cube. You can bring in the empty object, but I like to use the cube. All right. Once you bring in the cube into the third-person controller, make sure that you take that cube out of the third-person controller into the world and bring it up, move it up a bit, and the box collider, delete the box collider or remove the box collider, and the receive shadow we don't need, get shadow we don't need that either. We can actually take the mesh renderer, uncheck mark, but don't delete it, just uncheck mark it, because so we can find it later on if you're like looking into the world and we want to visually see where the spawn is. We're gonna cube is, we're gonna uncheck mark that, and I'm gonna change the name of this cube if it's even possible. Yeah, okay, here we go. I'm gonna call it player spawner underscore cube, player spawner underscore cube. All right, so we have that cube. Now we can safely delete the character model, and we're going to attach a script that is going to be able to spawn that third-person controller. So go into your scripts file folder, make a script, all right, C# script called in lobby player spawner. All right, and I'm going to open up that in lobby player spawner, and we're going to look into that script. So I have a public bool in lobby player, serialized field, vector 3 rotation, reference it to rotation, serialized field game object player prefab, serialized field transform spawn point, and then I also have a game object player clone. All right, once you copy all these few codes, lines of codes, save your script, go to the Unity engine, click on player spawner cube, grab the in lobby player spawner script, drag it onto the cube, spawner cube, and drop it in there. I'm going to switch to normal. All right, here we go. Now, under the in lobby player spawner, under the player prefab, guess what? We're going to attach a third-person controller. So find your third-person controller inside the standard assets, characters, third-person character, and then prefabs, and then third-person controller, grab it and drop it under the player prefab. For the spawn point, we need a spawn point, which is the player spawner cube. That's our spawn point. Save it and go back to the script. In lobby player spawner script, we're gonna look at the start function. In start function, I have in lobby player boolean is equal to true. Then I have game object reference it to clone is equal to, in parentheses, game object instantiate, in parentheses, player prefab, which we just attached to the player prefab, the third person controller. All right, we're spawning that prefab, comma, spawn point dot transform dot position. Then we're transforming it, the position of the prefab onto the spawn point, which is our cube that we made it as a player spawner. And next is we did is quaternion dot Euler and in parentheses rotation. What this does is pretty much takes the 3D vector position, which is up here, the X, Y, and Z position, or rotation, I mean, and stores it inside this Euler. And that is how, that is where our player will be attached or spawn to or rotate to that position. Our rotation is, if you go back to the Unity engine and look under the player spawner cube in the in lobby player spawner, our rotation is 0, 0, 0. All right. Go back to the script. Next line of code is clone dot transform dot parent is equal to spawn point. What this does is we're pretty much parenting the clone onto the spawn point, which is our player spawner cube. And then this line of code, I am pretty much using it to store the clone into the player clone object, because we're going to need it later on when we delete the player clone and respawn it again. Okay, that's it for that. Okay, yeah. So far so good. Now what this does is go back to Unity engine, hit play, and our third person controller should spawn. Boom, it spawns right exactly where we want it. I don't know what this error is. Something about the clone. Alright, but we can still move the character, and we don't want that. We don't want to move character inside the lobby. So we have to deactivate it. And also the character is not spawning facing camera. So we need to spawn the character facing camera. You can do this two different ways. Alright, you can do this inside the rotation under the in lobby player spawner, and under the y-axis you can say 180, right? And when you hit play, player should spawn in the right position, right? You can do it that way. That's why I have that rotation. Or another option is if you change the rotation y-axis to 0 and grab the player spawner cube and rotate this player spawner cube itself. All right. It used to be 180. Now I'm gonna switch it to 0. And yeah, if I switch it to 0, let's see what's gonna happen. Nothing. Okay. If I change it to 180, is it going to do anything? No. Huh. It did earlier, actually. But alright, I guess it's not gonna work. Never mind. Make it 0. Hit play again just to make sure. Maybe there was a glitch. must have been a glitch or something. All right, just make sure that in the in lobby player spawner, under the rotation, y-axis is 180. All right, if your player is not facing the camera, so just play around with this value and make sure to hit that play, see when the player is going to be facing camera. So he's facing camera pretty good. It's good enough for me, right? Okay, but the character still can't be, you know, moved around. So we need to disable its function. So we're going to look at the third person controller, and we need to disable the script third person user control. So how are we going to disable this? There's multiple ways we can disable this, but the easiest way that I know that will work is go to the script inventory, I mean not script inventory, scripts, and create a new script called in lobby player. I'm going to open up that script, and we're going to look at that script. Now this script is actually attached to the third person control. Well, it's not attached right now, but I'm going to attach it right now. If I go find the third person controller, freeze it or lock it in position in the inspector, find my script in lobby player and attach it onto the third person controller like that, like so. Now it's attached to it. Okay, and then we're going to look into it. So the first line of code I have serialized field, mono behavior, index, deactivate components. I probably misspelled it, but it's alright. Game object, find in lobby spawner and in lobby spawner player spawner. Alright, so this line of code we're gonna be storing a game object, and we're gonna find the in lobby player spawner script through this. Okay. So, and under this mono behavior, deactivate components, if you go back, if you save your script and go back, find your third person controller again under its in lobby player, make sure to grab the third person user control, drag it and drop it under the deactivate components, and that's it. Hit save again. Go back to the script, and we're going to continue. Under the start function, find in lobby spawner equal game object dot find player spawner underscore cube. Now this player spawner underscore dot game object, this player spawner underscore cube is, you guessed it, it's our player spawner underscore cube. Now we're looking at on the start when the character spawns into the world. This script is going to look for this name, player spawner underscore cube. When it finds it, all right, then we need to store its component, which is in lobby player spawner script, which we referenced it to spawner. All right, so spawner equals find in lobby spawner dot get component in lobby player spawner, and that's it for that. This should find and locate our in lobby store in lobby player spawner under the find in lobby spawner object. Once you do that, then look at the next function, which is void update, and inside the update function I have if statement. If spawner, which is our in lobby player spawner script, dot in lobby player, which if you remember we had boolean that is public bool in lobby player. On the start it's true. So if under the in lobby player, if the spawner.inLobby player is equal to true, then for each, or for loop I have here brought in for loop, for int I equals 0, I is less than deactivate components dot length I plus plus. Inside here for loop I did deactivate components I dot enabled equals false. So we are disabling the component, the third person component. So do not disable this component manually like this. Okay, make sure that you have a script attached to the player or the third person controller, and grab and drop that script onto the deactivate components. You can deactivate more than one component. I can actually deactivate the third person character as well. I can grab it and drop it on here, but I don't want to. I just want to deactivate the third person control, so I cannot move the player. And that's it for that. All right, if you did everything the way I did in here, this should work. In lobby player spawner, yeah, and that. Okay, so we attached it to the player. Yes, we did. So if you hit play, this should work. All right, let's hit play. Let's see if we're gonna get any issues. And now I'm trying to move the player with the WSAD or forward, backward, left and right. He's not moving, because if we click on the third person under the hierarchy third person controller clone, it's not deactivated. But why is it not moving? This should be deactivated, but it's not. Oh, because look at this. What? That's weird. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I had it under the prefab and it was not on a hierarchy. I'm sorry. I locked it under the prefab. All right. Now we can observe this character. The third person controller is, yes, the third person user controller is being deactivated. Yeah, it was confusing. I was like, there's no way that this is active, and I couldn't move. All right, so if I manually, I cannot manually activate this because it's on the update, and it's always making sure that this third person controller is not being able to move. So yeah, so it's good. It works just fine the way we want it to work. It spawns towards the camera, and okay, so the next thing is we need to attach our model, 3D model, onto the character and spawn it with the character, okay, when we click on one of these icons. And do this in this video. So we have to find our third person character prefab, bring it into the world. Doesn't have to be facing the camera, it's fine. And then under my 3D models, I imported one of my models, and when I drop, yeah, I imported a 3D model, and then I made a prefab of it, because you have to, once you import it, if it's not skinned, you have to skin it inside the hierarchy or game, and then make a prefab of it, which I did. All right, I'm gonna drag and drop into the world next to the character, and as you can see, the hat is pretty big, half size of the character. So this hat needs to be smaller so it can fit the character's head. So we are going to click on 3-person controller, find character's head, which is under the Ethan skeleton, Ethan hips, Ethan spine, Ethan spine 1, Ethan spine 2, Ethan neck, Ethan head, Ethan head 1, here it is, Ethan head 1, upper left corner lip. Okay, so I believe I can add, yes, right here, Ethan head 1. So find the 3rd-person controller's Ethan head 1 skeleton and grab the Christmas cap or hat, and we're going to drag and drop it onto the Ethan head 1. Okay, and I'm gonna move that hat to Ethan's head, and I'm going to scale it down like so, move it a bit more like so. His hair is big, so this might not even work. I don't know, let's see. But it doesn't matter, I mean, your character is going to be different. You know, this is just for the tutorial purposes. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, his hair, front hair is pretty standing out. It's outstanding. So we're gonna have to do this like that. Maybe rotate it a bit. No, not like that. Maybe like this. Move it again. Scale it some more. Move it a bit more. Scale it some more. It's gonna be small hat. It's fine. He's celebrating Christmas. It's fine. Small, doesn't matter. You can have him celebrating birthdays as well. Make a cap and birthday cap. But it looks good for now. This is just for the tutorial purposes. We're not gonna make this perfect. It's good enough. All right. Just apply. When you're done adding your 3D models onto the character, make sure you press that apply button, and we're going to deactivate the Christmas cap. Okay, I'm going to deactivate it and hit apply again, and a lobby player spawner. We're going to look at that script again. In lobby player spawner, we have a after the start function, we have public void delete respawn character, and then destroy player's clone. So we're destroying this player clone that we referenced it to clone, and then I have start quarantine in parentheses respawn character, which is here right after the public void deletes respawn character. It says private I enumerator respawn character, which is the one up here that we are calling it through the start quarantine. All right, under this function, I have yield return new, wait for seconds, 1 second, game object clone. All right, again, all I did is copy all this under the start, the game object clone, paste it on here, because we're gonna respawn this again, the same clone. We're gonna respawn it again. All right, so that should do that. After you're done with that, then we have to look at the and find your slot script, paste the serialized private in lobby player spawner, hit save, go to Unity Engine, find the inventory slot, which is under the inventory panel, content inventory, wait for it to load. Under the slot script player spawner, we're going to attach the player spawner cube. All right, and we're going to do this for everyone the easy way, like that. Not everyone has that. Hit save, and I'm going to delete this one, if it's even possible to delete. How you, like that? Okay. Go into the script. I have the on-click add item. In here, we're gonna do what we did inside the equipped item. We're gonna say player spawner dot delete respawn character, like that. All right, now when we if I hit play, okay, and if I go to the locker, if I hit on this item, the player is not going to be deleted. But if I hit on this icon again, if I switch to, let's say, Viking helmet, and then go to lobby, he respawns, but he's in the air. It's probably because of the update function that I have under the let's look into the in lobby player update. Yeah, we're gonna have to move this to start, and comment this out for now. Let's see if that's gonna work, how well that works. I can't hit play yet. All right, hit play. Spawns. Can we move him? No, we cannot. Locker, and we still, okay, it's better. All right, he no longer sits in the air, frozen in the air. All right, good. Well, under the slot, we do delete, call this in lobby script function, and we call the function delete respawn character, and after the 1 second, character respawns again. Okay, good enough, right? So far. Now, how do we activate the character's hat, Christmas hat, you wonder? Well, we already are storing some strings under the equipped item. Remember, when we hit on the slot item and click item, when you unclick add item, we store, we call this save skin item, and we store some strings, some variables, strings under the player prefab, the rarity, the item type, and the name. So we're going to look into the name. All right. So let's go back to the in-lobby spawner, and we're going to say not here. We're going to add another script. We're going to make another script. We're going to call this script show skin. All right. C#. I'm going to call it show skin. Open up the script, and we're going to look into it and paste it under the show skin, and I'm going to walk you through it, what it does. Paste, and skin, I'm gonna rename this to skin item name, skin item name, this one as well, skin item name. I'm gonna comment this out, we don't need that. That's for the networking, over the network. All right. Okay. So, first line of code, I have private string skin item name. That's where we're gonna store our skin name of that sprite. Next line of code, serial field private game object hat holder, the holder that holds the hat, which is our you'll see in a minute. The next one is serial field private transform set active game object. Go is game object. So we're going to look into these two lines here. I'm going to jump into the Unity, wait for it to load, and we're going to attach this script again onto our third person character, which is under the third person character prefabs. Click on it, and we're going to bring it into the game world. Lock onto it. Oh, not there. I'm sorry. We're going to find that Ethan skeleton, Ethan hip, spine 1, spine neck, Ethan head, and Ethan head 1. Alright, so our Christmas cap is under Ethan head 1, and we're gonna lock this onto our inspector. Found our scripts, the show skin, and we're gonna attach it onto the Ethan's head 1. Okay, and then we're gonna say we need to attach the hat holder, which is how did I do this? Skin name, let's see, skin name, okay, and if skin name is equal to nothing, return else show head skin, show head skin, this is the set active go equals head holder that transform that find head item name. true. So I'm gonna copy this from the show hierarchy and I'm gonna paste it inside here. Paste. I forgot how I did this, so I'm just trying to see if I can make it work in here. Skin item name, that's the name. And this is not this way, it's actually called skins name. Copy that, paste it on here. So I am getting the string skins name, storing it inside the skin item name, and then if skin item name is equal to nothing, then do the return. You know, there's nothing to be attached to the character. Else, if skin name, there's something under the skin name, then call this function, which is private void show head skin, and inside this function I have set active game object equals head holder that transform that find skin item name, and then next line of code is set active game object dot game object set active to true. Hit save, go back to Unity engine, and we're going to try and make this work. So head holder will be Ethan's head, and the set game object is do not attach anything to it, because this game object will have automatically will be attached. This Christmas cap will be attached to the set go game object automatically through the script. That's how I did that. Hopefully that's gonna work. We'll see. All right, let's jump into it and apply. Make sure you apply before you delete the prefab, whatever you did in it. Delete it, and we're gonna hit play, and then we're gonna check our third person prefab to see if he found what we are looking for under the head, head 1 and set game object none. It didn't get but it did. Helper's hat. Oh, okay. All right. Because it didn't find the helper's hat, because in the previous videos I talked about making sure that you name something, you correctly name something. So I'm going to bring in the third person character again. I'm going to find that Christmas hat and I'm going to call it the way I called it for the name, the way I stored it inside the name. Why am I? Okay, head 1. All right, so this is going to be called Christmas. What did I call it? Let's go to resources skins. It's called Christmas hat. Helper's hat. I'm sorry. I'm gonna copy this so I don't mess it up, and I'm going to paste the name of it in here, and I am going to hit enter, apply, delete the character again, hit play, and see if it's gonna find it this time. Oh, it found it right away, because we stored the not the values, the string. We stored it on the player, and you can see it a little bit. The Christmas hat, it appears. And we're gonna check the skeleton again, spine, 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 neck, head, Ethan's head 1, and yep, it automatically sets the game object to the helper's hat and activates the game object, which is the helper's hat, which is our 3D model. So that is how that is done. Alright, so if I go into the locker now and I hit on the skin icon and I switch icons to the Vikings and I go back to lobby, guess what? Christmas hat is no longer there. If I go into the scene, find the character, see that he's got no Christmas hat on, or helper's hat, whatever I called it. But if I go back again and hit on the skin, go to the lobby, boom, Christmas hat on his head activated. That's it. That's all it is to it. You can do this for multiple things. You can even do this for the characters as well. You can do it for the gloves, shoes, pants, shirts, eyeglasses, even hair, change the faces, change everything pretty much of the character. This is how I would accomplish something like that. I enjoy making these games, making these projects, and just a reminder, the tip, when you add more items into your database, make sure that you add more inventory slots, and don't add them when you're in the game. Make sure you exit out of the game and then add them into your content inventory. Let's say if you end up having 100 inventory, see, I'm horrible at explaining things. I am horrible. Item database, that's what I was looking for. Item database, let's say you have 100 items, 100 IDs. Well, if you have, like, this is four items right now, even though it says here 3, but there's 4 items here. So if you have 100 IDs, that means that you're gonna need in your inventory, in your Unity engine, and under the content inventory, the item slots, you're gonna need 101 of these. So pretty much you have to duplicate 101 of these and you should be all set. Or just duplicate more than that just to be safe. Let's say if you know that you're gonna have 100 items, make like 110, 120, 150 of these, 300 of these, just to make sure that you have them. So thanks for watching. Always stop by. You'll never know what I'll have in store for you to watch.